Welcome everyone, we are back with another episode of Game of Thrones. This time it is a Season 7 History and Lore. Crazy that we've done 7 seasons already.
I know. We've only got 6 episodes to go.
I know. It's only 6 in the final season.
Only 6 in the final season.
Wow.
And the first 2 are kind of standard length ones, which I'm relieved about because I'm editing those 2.
Yeah.
And then it's the final 4 that ramp up. The third episode is actually the longest in the entire series. It's
Nice.
82 minutes.
Nice. Enjoy editing a movie. Brilliant.
It's
Can't
all right.
wait.
The finale, which is also yours, is only 80 minutes. And it will also have our entire awards for the show in it as well.
Amazing. Can't wait for that one.
You'll love it.
I had no work to do anyway, so can't wait. But I'm really looking forward to seeing, I believe this is the final Lore video, isn't it?
Yes.
So, looking forward to getting some more context. And we're starting out with the Golden Company, which we just met in Season 7.
Did we meet them?
No, they were introduced.
Ah, okay. I was thinking I missed an entire scene then. Like,
That's not like you to miss stuff.
Jorah, as we know that... Jorah, as we know, very, very knowledgeable guy, and he's going to be telling us about the Golden Company.
Yes.
And that's going to be interesting because we've been told that they have horses and elephants.
Yeah. Elephants.
So
strange in an army for me. I don't know how... Well, they obviously have their use case, but they just seem like... They're big, obviously, but they seem like they'd be quite slow. And maybe easy, slow maybe hard to kill, but they're slow, easy targets.
Yeah, I would just guess it's another line of defence that they're going to be going for with these. But it'll be good to know exactly what they're going to bring to the table because as things stand, you've got Cersei, Qyburn, and the Mountain versus the World. Potentially Bronn, but we don't know where that's going to go because even though I was kind of thinking about this crazy like Bronn Cersei situation, you then brought up the fact that she wanted him punished, so he could then go and hang out with Valeria Sand and her daughter in the dungeons. Poisoning scene. Yes,
that'd be fun. I mean, I'd love to see him switch sides as well, and because what we've known of him all the way through is that he can be bought. Like he cares about himself, which is fine. They do live in a world where you have to look after yourself, but it'd be nice to just have a final little twist where he actually, I'm not going to think about myself, not about gold, but about the greater good.
I don't think he has sides.
No, but he might pick one, is what
Bronn.
I'm saying.
That's it.
That's what I mean, yeah. But I think that there could be something in him there that he actually just stops thinking about him and then is like, I'm going to do this and join the fight.
You think?
No, but I'm hoping.
Yeah, and even if he wanted to, is Cersei going to let him leave King's Landing?
That's the thing.
She let Jaime leave King's Landing, and we still couldn't really get our heads around that.
We think there might be because we know that Cersei's always thinking of the next play.
Always scheming.
So this could just be one of her schemes. Let him go, and he can just spread the word that she's coming.
Yes. So there was a couple of notes from the last episode because I'm up to date with the editing. Done really well. Pat on the back that was.
Yeah.
So I just thought that Sam is going to meet up with Daenerys.
Yes.
And does Sam yet know that Daenerys cooked his father and brother alive? And if so, how's he going to react? Because obviously Sam's father was the biggest arsehole towards him ever. But is he going to be bothered? Is there anything to this? Because one thing I've been looking at is that we keep on getting all these link-ups of storylines that intertwine. So I started trying to think about whose potential storylines could be intertwining here.
Yeah.
And one that I'm not too sure about is Sam and Daenerys because of how she killed his father and brother.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There was no love lost at all between him and his father, but he may feel different when he knows that he's been killed. But I think the bigger thing is that the Tarly house is gone, isn't it? That's it, done. Because Sam has renounced titles. Dickon and Randall are dead.
Yeah.
So there's no one left to. So that might affect him a bit more. And I don't know what his relationship was like with Dickon.
We didn't see much of it,
no,
did we?
We didn't. And he seemed like an okay guy. It didn't seem like he was his father's son, if you like. But interesting to see if that does come up. Yes. I don't know how he'll take it. He may feel a certain way because it is a family member, but I can't imagine him being too cut up about his father.
No, because what I was thinking is Sam and Jon have always had this extremely close friendship and relationship. And if Sam does react poorly to this, obviously Jon and Daenerys are in love.
Yeah.
And that's going to potentially create some friction.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to have time for any of this with what's coming, you see. I don't know if this is going to be basically just introductions. Let's get on with it.
Wouldn't surprise me if it didn't even come up. But we've seen Jon and Sam. There's been points in the show where they've only had each other. and I wouldn't want anything to get between that.
The only reason I think it might come up is because there was a scene where the Archmaester said that he hasn't had the heart to tell him about their deaths. True. And then we've seen that he's left the Citadel before the Archmaester could tell him. So I just felt like that's telling me that Sam doesn't know yet. That's the only real reason that...
there'd be no reason to say otherwise.
Thinking about that. So there was a line from Beric a couple of episodes ago where he said, "We are soldiers. We have to know what we're fighting for." He may well have been speaking to Jon when he said this. I haven't written it down, but it was more the words that intrigued me.
Yeah.
Because... could this be a link to what happened with Jaime? Because Cersei called Jaime a soldier, and it started to be that Jaime didn't know what he was fighting for, and then he saw the dead person who ran directly for Cersei.
Yeah.
That couldn't have happened any better. That's exactly who they wanted him to run towards as well. So could it be that Jaime is thinking exactly that? We have to know what we are fighting for. And did he get to the point where he's kind of been alienated and he didn't know what he was fighting for?
Yeah. And
now he kind of has seen something that leads him to believe that's what I am fighting for.
Yeah, with Jaime, I always felt he did a lot of things, and it seemed like he was fighting for love. And I did say a few times that does it come to a point where love isn't enough anymore for Jaime? Mm-hmm. And he just like... I think he's scared of Cersei. I mean, everyone's scared of Cersei. Most people are scared of Cersei.
I'm scared of Cersei.
Yeah, exactly. I just think, he could have thought, this is no longer enough for me to do what I'm doing. I need to go and fight for something better. I need a better cause to fight for, and that may have been why he switched sides.
It was just that line from Beric, and it just got me thinking about Jaime when he said it. Yeah, we're soldiers. We have to know what we are fighting for. Yeah. And Beric seems to be the one bringing everything to the table, because I might be wrong about this, but Jon started saying about the Great War. Beric mentioned it twice before Jon started saying it. So I think that's where it was introduced, because I hadn't heard the term. Now, whether it's been there all along and I've just completely missed it, it seems to be that Beric started mentioning it. I think the first time was in season 7, episode 5.
Yeah.
And then he repeated it again the following episode. And then we've heard Jon saying it. So it seems to now be coined that this is what this war is going to be called. It's going to be called the Great War.
Yes. Yeah. I don't remember hearing that before from anyone else, but Beric. It's interesting with Beric because he's been brought back 6 times now. So what role does he have to play going forward? We know he's obviously being brought back for a purpose, because we know when you no longer have the purpose, you can't be brought back. So 6 times he's been brought back. So what part do you think he plays in all this?
I mean, he's extremely handy with a sword, and he has a flaming sword.
He does, yeah.
So I would assume that he has a part to play against.
Also, he's carrying the word as well. He's like a vessel for the Lord of Light. He's carrying the word and just telling people that this is what's coming. And
he wanted to go for the Night King. He wanted to go for him in one of the previous episodes, and he seemed to think that was his destiny. So whether that could be what happens, because I think that there's no coincidence that with Beric and Jon and the interactions that they had, I can easily see Jon seeing Beric die and not come back, because I think that might then have a realisation sink in Jon, especially if my prediction of Dany being preggers is going to come to fruition, because he might see it that all of a sudden he has things to lose, and if he sees a man die who came back 6 times, it's just going to potentially be a bit of a reminder for Jon that it's not going to happen again, maybe.
No, next time could be my time up.
That's it.
Lady Melisandre's not around. Thoros
She's
is dead.
coming back, though, we know. She said she's coming back.
Coming back to Westeros,
Yes. I did have a bit of a theory on the Varys situation with Melisandre, but I will save that, I think, for another time. The only other thing, I was just listing what potential reunions were going to happen at Winterfell, and I had Arya and Gendry.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a nice
They're going to see each other again. Tormund, Brienne, and the Hound.
Yeah.
Because of that triangle that's appearing.
Yeah.
Sansa and the Hound.
Oh, yeah, he saved her life, didn't he? Saved her from being raped.
That's it.
In King's Landing.
And he offered to obviously take her, but she stayed.
Yep.
And then Jaime, and I just put / because I was thinking everyone. But then I was trying to think if there was is there a real, other than Brienne being there, is there a real matchup for Jaime? Obviously, we know that Arya took a keen interest in him at the twins, but I don't know if that was just there to let us know that person maybe wasn't a waitress, a server, even though I don't think I ever would have picked up on that, to be honest. Because of the fact Bronn always makes a point about how women are just drawn towards Jaime and fancy him. I don't know if I ever would have picked up on that. But
that was quite subtle as well, because she wasn't She didn't stay. Like she didn't give a telling look to Jamie like a lot of girls would. She actually walked away, and yeah, it was clever from the show because it gave you a little hint there, but it didn't give it away fully. And I'm sure there's so many people that didn't think that.
The only reason that I even made the link as to what they were showing us there in the outro of that episode was because of the fact that Bronn was then set up with 2 other girls.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make sense that they focused away from the server, and obviously which confirmed it was her. But yeah, anyway, let's do this. Season 7 lore. Can't wait to jump into this one. Please give the video a like if you haven't done so already, and we hope you enjoy. Oh, just before we do jump in, sorry, this is really confusing for everyone now expecting to be watching the video. We are cutting out spoiler zones that we have been told that are either things we've watched already or things that could potentially reduce our enjoyment of House of the Dragons. So if the video jumps around, which it will, that is the reason why, because we obviously don't want to see those.
I just want to say a big thanks to Constantine for putting that together for me at last minute.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was on me for forgetting, but yeah, it came through, and yeah, really appreciate that.
Yes. So once again, please give the video a like, just in case you didn't, and let's jump into this one. We hope you enjoy.
When I fled Westeros, I washed up where most disgraced knights do. The Golden Company.
Oh.
The best of the Eastern Sellsword companies, for what that's worth. 20,000 battle-hardened men, horses, and even elephants, ready to kill their employers' enemies, no matter the cause, no matter the result. The Golden Company began as revenge. On his deathbed, a Targaryen king legitimized all his bastards, either to buy his way into the Seven Heavens, or spite the family left behind.
Oh.
As everyone knew would happen, his great bastards weren't satisfied with their father's name, and wanted his throne as well, under the banner of the new House Blackfire. Their true-born brothers disagreed. When the Blackfires lost the Civil War, they fled to Essos to gather a new army in return for what was theirs. But wars cost money, and Aegor Rivers, the leader of the Blackfire forces who now called himself Bittersteel, decided he could sell his army's services to other lords, while waiting to return to Westeros. The Golden Company was born. For their words, they chose, beneath the gold, the bitter steel, to remind themselves that they weren't just hired killers, but knights of Westeros who'd one day retake their home. They
Did it
never
for money
tried,
then.
Yeah.
because they were too successful as sellswords. When Qohor declined to pay the new Golden Company for its services, Bittersteel dared what even the Dothraki failed to do, and sacked the city. After filling the company's coffers, he declared that unlike all other sellswords, the Golden Company would never break a contract. So they haven't. But they also don't take contracts unless the odds are heavily in their favor. Cowardly, perhaps, but far from foolish. Quite a few
Interesting.
wars have ended with one side learning the Golden Company agreed to fight on the other. Though it's not just their reputation that scares off would-be enemies. For some, it only takes one look at the captain's war tent surrounded by the gilded skulls of former captains, many splintered with the wounds that killed them. Any sellswords who'd waste that much gold must have a lot of it. And
Wonder
nobody
what
pays
Cersei
the
and
fee.
Qyburn have spun them a story of
Could
if
the Golden
the odds
Company
always
ever
need to be
take
in their favour.
Westeros?
Yeah.
They
Sold him
get
a
more
line,
practice
maybe.
fighting than the average knight, and their elephants could make a mess on a battlefield. But men who fight for gold will never fight as hard as men who fight for home. I should know.
That's true.
I've done one. Now I do the other.
Yeah, interesting that they always want the odds in their favour, because that's really not what we've been... They must know they're coming up against dragons,
The
right?
Citadel of Old Town
Yeah.
is the greatest centre of learning in the world. Not that it has much competition, really. Most lords think of books the way they think of younger sons. Useful to have around, as long as they keep to the corners. Back when House Hightower still ruled Old Town as kings, a crippled younger son sought solace in books and those who wrote them, and became the greatest patron of learning in his day. Scholars of all sorts flocked to Old Town to debate and write and debate. After this Prince Peremore's death, his brother granted land to Peremore's pets, as the wise men were called, though now they're known as maesters. Like the Night's Watch, the Citadel accepts any boy into its halls, be he a lordling, peasant or bastard. Merit, not birth, determines advancement. Once a novice proves adept in a field, he forges a chain link that signifies his skill. Black iron is for ravenry, gold for sums and accounts, silver for healing, iron for warfare, Valyrian steel for the higher mysteries.
Yeah.
Magic.
Only one in
though
100
nobody
has
likes to say
those,
the
right?
word in the
Yeah.
Citadel. Or explain how dragons fly or dead men walk. Once an acolyte has forged enough links to make a chain, he becomes a maester. Should he continue his studies, he might rise to archmaester and be given a ring, rod, and mask forged from the appropriate metal for his chosen field. The wisest, or
Grand.
most ambitious of the archmaesters might even be called to serve as a grand maester on the small council, responsible for steering the king and the realm,
It's mad to think that was
as well
Pycelle.
as
Yeah,
keeping
crazy.
the Citadel informed of everything. The heart of the Citadel is the library, which contains tomes from all over the world on every subject imaginable, from the trivial to the essential to the restricted. If the world ended tomorrow, we could rebuild it with the knowledge contained in these books. Theoretically. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But as every novice learns, the Citadel is more than a building, more than a library, more than the Order of Maesters. It is an idea that we may know the world. Not completely, not in any one man's lifetime, but piece by piece, with each generation building upon the knowledge of their predecessors where they
The wall.
can, and preserving it where they can't. And, unfortunately for us all, forgetting it when they shouldn't.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes.
The prophecies of the known world. Sam again. Busy boy.
The Maesters
is.
don't believe in prophecy, with good reason.
Ah, the
The
weird one.
children of the forest supposedly could see into the future, yet were surprised by the first men who nearly ended their race, and the long night, which nearly ended us all. Some maesters posit that the children's magical sight was invented long after they vanished from Westeros, by singers hoping to thrill peasant girls. Not that most maesters have much experience in what does or doesn't do that. When Aegon the Conqueror came to the Iron Islands, the priest King Lodos claimed his divine father, the Ironborn's drowned god, had shown him krakens pulling Aegon's ships into the deep.
They mentioned Lodos a couple
No
of episodes
krakens
ago.
ever arrived.
Yeah.
And even if they had, they wouldn't have stopped Aegon and his dragons without wings of their own. Confused, Lodos filled his pockets with stones and walked into the sea to take counsel with his father.
That was silly.
Thousands followed him, but apparently the drowned god didn't appreciate a crowd. The corpses washed upon the Iron Islands for years.
That's mad.
Yeah.
According to legend, House Targaryen survived the doom of Valyria thanks to Daenys the Dreamer, who foresaw the calamity and convinced her father to flee their homeland. It could be true. The Targaryens were always a bit more. But as Maester Yendel points out, in the east the Targaryens were one of 1,000 minor noble families, and in Westeros they became kings. Politics, not prophecy, could have drawn them to our shores. Politics can also explain the prophecies of Daemon Blackfyre II, a Targaryen bastard rumoured to possess the family gift. While posing as a hedge knight, he told a future Lord Commander of the Kingsguard that he dreamt of a dragon hatching at White Walls Castle, and took it as a sign that he'd win the Iron Throne. Perhaps if he'd slept a bit longer, he'd have dreamt of the King's Hand putting down his rebellion a day later, before it even began.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some
Most
dream.
maesters dismiss all Targaryen claims of prophecy as mystic nonsense, a relic of their eastern ancestry. To be fair, across the Narrow Sea there isn't a market without a warlock from Karth telling fortunes, or a shadowbinder from Ashai reading
I mentioned them not long ago.
Or so I hear. From the maesters.
They just went, didn't they?
Yeah.
Warlocks.
When I was a boy, I
I
overheard
did.
the cook whispering to a maid about a woods witch camping outside Horn Hill who was called Maggie the Frog. Now I realise it was probably a corruption of the eastern word for wizards, Magi. One day my father rode out hunting, though no
Oh,
game
like
was in
mage.
season, and whatever power she had likely didn't save her. Even the wisest maesters, however, have no answer for the Red Priests who prophesy about the return of the Long Night. For thousands of years, they've kept watch for the return of the prince who was promised, who will be born amid salt and smoke to drive off the darkness once again. Prince of what realm, promised by whom and to whom? The prophecy doesn't say. but at the very least it confirms that not even Essos escaped the long night. I imagine the cataclysm must have confused the East. Unlike Westeros, they wouldn't have known of the Night King, or the White Walkers, or the war waged by the First Men and the Children of the
No,
Forest.
can't swim, as we
They
know.
would have just seen a terrible winter descend and linger far too long until spring magically returned to the world. Yet somehow, maybe from passing merchants, maybe in their fires, the Red Priest saw the truth. Now the truth is here again, for anyone to see. But the Maesters refuse. They debate and question and doubt, not to choose the wisest course, but because they're too used to doing nothing else. Most prophecies might be lies, but not all of them.
They dismissed Sam,
The long
didn't they?
night
They
is
tried
coming.
telling him.
If we don't
Yeah, they
believe
did.
that, well, we won't need any prophecy to tell us our future.
It's part of why he had enough and he decided to leave.
Yeah.
Sure, just gather up as much as he could, and off he went. The Dragon Pit. Was it the first time we saw the Dragon Pit?
In its
I
time,
believe so,
the
yeah.
Dragon Pit was a marvel of the world. Full-grown Targaryen dragons nested beneath its massive dome. And even on the darkest nights, the walls seemed to glow with the fire of the great beasts inside.
As had the site's previous occupant, the Sept of Remembrance, when Maegor the Cruel blasted it with dragonfire during morning prayers. The screams of the dying men echoed through King's Landing all day, and a pall of ash and smoke hung over the city for a week.
But as it dissipated, so too did the rebellion of the Faith Militant. The Sept of Remembrance faded from memory, and Maegor decided to replace a monument to the gods with a monument to his family, the Dragon Pit.
Labor proved elusive, however, for after the Red Keep was finished, Maegor had hosted a 3-day feast for all the builders, stonemasons, and carpenters who had worked to build it. At its conclusion, he slaughtered them, so that only he would know the castle's secrets. So many
Seems a
men
little
fled
extreme.
the construction of the Dragon Pit that Maegor was forced to employ the prisoners of the city dungeons, supplemented by skilled and ignorant builders from across the narrow sea.
For more than a century, the Targaryens housed their dragons in the Dragon Pit. But dragons are not horses to be stabled or hounds to be kennelled.
This contributed to them
With
growing
each
smaller,
generation,
wasn't
the
it? Because they were
dragons
trapped.
became less,
Yeah.
less massive, less swift, less long-lived.
According to legend, a huntsman once tracked a lion that was terrorizing his village all the way to its den.
Jamie.
Though armed with only a spear, the man managed to kill both the lion and its mate, but spared the cubs.
Haven't seen any lions, have we?
This mercy so
No.
pleased the old gods that they sent a shaft of sunlight deep into
Only
the
on
cave,
sigils.
gleaming off golden walls. The hunter became a miner and built a ring fort to guard his new wealth. Nobody ever asks what happened to the cubs. Maybe the gods forgot about them and they starved. Maybe there never were any cops, a lions, a hunter. Doesn't matter. Someone found enough gold in that cave to buy whatever truth he wanted, along with a castle that he'd name after his new family.
Casterly Rock.
Thanks to that gold, Casterly Rock soon became the largest, wealthiest, and best defended castle in Westeros. An army that struggled up the main approach would still have to climb thick, high, and well-defended walls. Should they choose instead to lay siege, the sea helpfully carved a massive cave beneath the castle, which over time became a private port complete with docks, wharves, and shipyards.
Great for trade, isn't
And
it?
so, to
Yeah.
this day, even with all the gold in Westeros to tempt invaders, Casterly Rock has never fallen. At least, not in battle. The castle is sadly all that remains of its namesake family, the Casterlys. According to another legend, my ancestor, Lan the Clever, swindled the castle from them. The most common story is that he found a hidden cleft in the rock and snuck into the castle. At night, he whispered threats into sleeping ears, howled in the darkness, planted one brother's treasures in the room of another, and so forth.
Oh,
By the end
Turn
of his
them on
games,
themselves.
the
Yeah.
Casterlys believed a demon was haunting their home and fled.
that's a
My
mad
brother
plan.
prefers
Really
a different
is.
version. Lan the Clever did find a secret entrance into the rock, but used it to have his way with the Casterly maidens. Eventually, the girls gave birth to golden-haired bastards, and the Casterlys had no choice but to accept their father into the family.
Wow.
In gratitude, he changed the family name to honor himself, and House Lannister was born.
Is that the room
The
that Tyrion
Casterlys
referred
used the
to?
gold of the
where
rock
the bed
to
was.
become
Yeah.
lords. The Lannisters became kings. For thousands of years, the Kingdom of the Rock ruled the Westerlands. When the Ironborn became a nuisance, my ancestors sailed to the Iron Islands and returned with 100 Ironborn hostages, promising to hang one from the rock every time the Ironborn dared raid our shores. The Ironborn stayed away. Well, after 20 or so. When the Andals arrived after sweeping across the rest of Westeros, we invited their sons and daughters into the Rock as squires and court ladies. I don't think we ever had to hang any of them. Finally, Aegon the Conqueror defeated us on the Field of Fire, and my ancestor knelt. Still, little changed but titles and taxes. For when Visenya Targaryen saw the Rock, she gave thanks that my ancestor had met Aegon on the field. Even Dragonflame would have washed over the castle like the waves and left just as much a mark. But now the mines are dry, and Casterly Rock is just that.
Yeah, 3 years, I think, since they mined gold.
Our gold has passed into legend, just like the merciful huntsman and Land the Clever. As will our family if we lose this war. Unlike the Casterlys, however, we won't even have a castle to remember our name.
I think Tywin mined too much. Took too
Probably.
much to lend to Robert. Ah, the Reigns of Castamere.
Nice. Yeah, no one's been at Castle Rock for a long time, have they?
When disciplining unruly vassals, most lords sent armies. My father Tywin only had to send a singer. There's no faster way to dull a vassal's ambition or any festive occasion than hearing the Reigns of Castamere. The House Reign of Castamere was an old and proud house that was slowly sinking back into the muck. Their mines had run dry. Without gold, they turned to a more common source of wealth: daughters. Lady Ellen Rain was betrothed to my great-uncle, but when he fell in battle, Lady Ellen sought comfort in his twin brother's bed, beating out the other woman he promised to marry. Then the husband, who had shared his twin's wife, shared his twin's death on a different battlefield. Lady Ellen flung herself at the new, and married, heir to the Rock. But my grandfather Titus was more kitten than lion. He ran away and told his wife of Lady Ellen's designs, and Lady Ellen soon found herself married off to Walderan Tarbeck, lord of another failing house. The Rains and
Christ, finally got a
Tarbecks
marriage.
have sunk into obscurity together, and they would have if not for my grandfather becoming Lord of Casterly Rock. At first, the Westerlands laughed with the Laughing Lion, as the jovial Titus was called. But when men realized this lion had neither teeth nor claws, they started to laugh at him. None laughed harder than the Rains and Tarbecks. Though Lady Ellen was no longer welcome at Casterly Rock, Titus didn't refuse her brothers, Roger and Reynard Rain, not even when they asked for extravagant loans. Thanks to our family's gold, Lady Ellen restored Tarbeck Hall to a splendor she hadn't known since being cast out of our home. When my grandfather broached the subject of repayment, Roger and Reynard only laughed. And
No
soon
intention
enough,
of paying
my
it back.
Grandfather was laughing along with them.
Yeah.
Then my father Tywin
Son of a
returned from the
death
War
row,
of the
Warren.
Ninepenny Kings, where he'd seen how the rest of the realm sniggered at House Lannister. Determined to restore our proper place, my father demanded the immediate repayment of all debts to the Rock, or a hostage from those who couldn't pay. Reynard Rain merely laughed when he received the raven. Lord Walderan Tarbeck chose to ride to Casterly Rock, sure that he could cow Lord Titus into rescinding my father's commands. He could have, except it wasn't Titus who met him at the gates, but my
Tywin.
father,
Yeah.
who had Lord Walderan thrown into a dungeon. Lady Ellen protested. The Rains threatened war, and finally my grandfather broke and released Lord Tarbeck with an apology no less.
Oh, wow.
As if bathing himself in shame, Titus further forgave all the Tarbeck debts to our house. To celebrate the end of hostilities, Lord Roger feasted Titus at Castamere, and the two lords proclaimed their friendship for eternity. My father allowed eternity to last a year. When he summoned the Rains and Tarbecks to Casterly Rock to answer for their crimes, they rose in revolt, exactly as he expected.
Yeah.
Their defiance gave him a pretext to call his banners and ride for Tarbeck Hall and Castamere with an army behind him. He didn't even bother to inform my grandfather. My father's army descended on the Tarbeck so quickly that Lord Walderan had no time to gather his forces and rode against my father with only his household knights. Soon, his head, his son's heads, and the heads of any man with Tarbeck blood adorned the spears of the Lannister vanguard as it marched to Tarbeck Hall.
Tywin had enough of being disrespected then.
At their approach, Lady Ellen Tarbeck closed her gates and sent ravens to her brothers at Castamere. She assumed they'd have more than enough time to muster their armies and break what would be a long siege. My father had trebuchets up in a day and brought down the keep within hours.
Wow. Yeah, he didn't hang around.
Lady Ellen and her son were crushed in its fall. When the Tarbeck forces surrendered, my father put their castle to the torch. Roger Rayne arrived with his army just in time to see the flames consuming his sister's home. He charged my father's camp, hoping surprise would win out over my father's greater numbers. It didn't.
No.
With half his men
Hear
dead
it.
on the field and a
Yeah.
crossbolt in his back, Lord Roger fled back to Castamere. The Lannister host arrived at Castamere 3 days later. Like Castle Rock, the seat of House Rayne had begun as a mine. When the gold gave out, the mine shafts were widened into halls, galleries, and bedchambers deep beneath the earth. The Rayne brothers didn't have the men to defend the castle walls and retreated into their underground stronghold. From this relative safety, they offered terms to my father to avoid a long siege. My father didn't reply. Instead, he commanded that the mines be sealed with stone and soil until there was
sending
no way
chills
in
down on me.
and no way out.
Yeah, such a haunting
When that
song,
was
isn't it?
complete,
Yeah.
It took less than a day to dam the stream beside the castle and only 2 to divert it to the nearest mine entrance. The Raynes had taken more than 300 men, women, and children into the mines. A few guards reported hearing faint screams and shouts below them one night, but come dawn, the earth was silent once
So
again.
it blocked them in.
And now the rain weeps over their halls, with no one left to hear.
We know that's why they called it that, Reigns of Castamere.
Yeah.
It's like a constant reminder to anyone who would dare take them on.
Yes.
Your boy?
My boy. Been waiting for his
What
death.
the king dreams, the hand of the king builds. Or, so say the kings, the hands, and the lords who wish to be hands. The lowborn put it differently. The king eats, and the hand takes the shit. The fact is, most kings hate ruling. We shouldn't blame them. Their only qualification is blood.
We know that about
So,
Robert.
naturally, they're
Yeah.
wary of a seat made of blades. Far better to find other men to rule in their stead. But how should a king select his hand? Years later, the realm had no sharper mind than Lord Tywin Lannister hand to King Aerys Targaryen. Or, as history remembers him, the Mad King. He saw assassins and plots in
It
every
looks
shadow.
green of the wildfire
heard whispers
reflecting
in
off of him.
silence,
Yeah.
and burned men alive. But his greatest madness by far was driving away Lord Tywin. The Mad King then cycled through every mistake of his ancestors. Soldiers, toadying lords, and at the end even an alchemist, perhaps to save the crown's growing expenses on wildfire. Unfortunately, it didn't save his crown or his dynasty. The new King Robert chose his foster father, Lord John Arryn, as his hand. The wisest decision Robert ever made. Not that it had many rivals. Too bad it proved so
Yeah.
fatal.
Littlefinger had him killed.
Lord Arryn was a man of honor from an ancient and proud family. But honor is no shield against the corruption of the capital, as Lord Arryn's successor, Ned Stark, learned as well. Perhaps the hand of the king is a flawed idea. Westeros needs a ruler who can
John, isn't it?
rule, who builds what he dreams himself. A king who can't govern his kingdom is no king, and a hand who shits what another man eats is an arse.
Nice.
I've never noticed that the pin is actually a hand.
Have you not?
No, how bad is that?
The Tyrells claimed
Randall.
High Garden, but they didn't build it. They claimed descent from the first king of the Reach, but only through the female line. The truth is that House Gardner
Yeah, they
built
took it
High
from them.
Garden
Yes.
when they ruled the Reach as kings, not lords. And as their name attests, they were the true heirs of Garth the Gardener, who founded their house and the kingdom, and brought law and order to the Reach. He built High Garden as a fortress, not a pleasure palace. In those dark days, the Ironborn raided up and down the Mandor at will, and the Dornish were even more trouble than they are now. While enduring shame, a Dornish army once sacked Highgarden and destroyed the Oaken Seat, the living throne of the Gardener Kings planted by Garth Greenhand himself. The Gardeners responded wisely, sending armies of their own to pacify and defend the countryside. My ancestors at Horn Hill joined them, as did the other great families of the Reach. Even House Hightower yielded without a fight, choosing marriage into House Gardener over a war that would weaken us against outsiders. But the outsiders still came. The Andals swept across Westeros, destroying many ancient families and kingdoms. When the invaders arrived at the Reach, led by Sir Alistair Tyrell, House Gardener chose accommodation over battle, hoping honors and marriages would sate the foreigners' ambitions. The Tyrells were welcomed into service as hereditary stewards of Highgarden. Thousands of years later, they repaid the Gardeners for their acceptance. When Aegon Targaryen declared that Westeros was now his, King Mern IX allied with King Loren Lannister of the Westerlands. Together, they fought to save Westeros from another foreign barbarian, whose family practices put decent men to shame. But the dragons won, and the Field of Fire claimed Mern and all his sons, grandsons, and brothers. Instead of using the castle for what it was built to do, Harlan Tyrell surrendered it to Aegon without a fight.
Bent the knee.
In exchange, Harlan was given the castle his family had served for thousands of years, with all its attendant lands and lords, including
Yeah, we think
my
it was a
family.
clever ploy by the Tyrells
Perhaps
to take
the
over based on
Tyrells
what we've been
were
told
great
in the
once.
past.
Yeah.
But Harlan gave away their honor when he opened gates that weren't his to open, and to a foreign invader. Ever since, there hasn't been a Lord Tyrell who wasn't a mockery of the title. Women rule that house. Everybody knows
Oh yeah,
it.
of course, Randall hates women.
And look what it's wrought. Their proper lord, heir, and queen, dead. Leaving only a shrunken old woman who forgets her loyalties to the realm, either in grief or dotage. But her thorns won't protect her more than any other
about Olenna.
rose when the hand comes.
I think so, yeah.
Rip
She
them
was
out.
Lady of Thorns, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Valeria's last scion?
Scion, yeah.
House Targaryen. Oh, Viserys.
This world wasn't always so small and petty. Thousands
some
of
voice
years
we haven't heard for
while
ages.
the rest
Yeah,
of
it's been a
men
while.
prayed to gods, the Valyrians became them. Through magic or sheer will, they mastered the greatest creatures in history. A horse grants man dominion over the land, a ship over the sea. But dragons gave us the sky, and everything and everyone beneath it. At its height, my ancestors ruled the known world. Whatever parts we didn't weren't worth knowing. Our capital of Valyria shamed the magnificent cities of the east, for hammers and chisels were no match for dragon fire and sorcery. It was a city and an empire built to last until the end of time. It didn't.
No.
400 years ago, the doom fell
Yeah.
on Valyria. Mountains cracked open like eggs, lakes and rivers boiled, fountains of fire, ash,
Created
and
the smoking
smoke
sea, didn't
spewed
it?
from the ground,
Yes.
so high and so hot that even dragons burned in flight. The land splintered, and the angry sea rushed in. In hours, the greatest city in history.
It's almost like the Game of Thrones version of the Big Bang.
But my ancestors didn't burn or drown with the rest of their race. 12 years before the Doom, despite the sneers of his rivals, Aenar Targaryen abandoned the capital with his family. Legends claim that his daughter foresaw the destruction of the city in a dream. More likely, Aenar met with some mishap at court and chose exile
They
over
feeds
execution.
Dragonstone.
He
can't
and House
remember where it was.
Targaryen slinked away to a dreary, remote, god-forsaken island. Forsaken? No.
Could be right, Dragonstone.
With arts now lost to the world, we transformed a tiny outpost
Yeah.
into Dragonstone, a fortress fit for the last Dragon Lords. Then Einar's descendants settled into it like a tomb for their lost homeland. Until Aegon. When he looked east, he saw the past, old, tired, dead. But when he looked west,
Future.
he saw the future. Gold in the ground, gold in the fields, and no dragons in the sky but his. He and his sisters, Rhaenys and Visenya, flew over the great continent, ostensibly visitors to a strange land. But when Aegon returned, he ordered construction of a massive table carved in the shape of Westeros, with all the notable rivers and mountains that they had seen.
He had it made.
A personal map.
We kept
of the
seeing
Seven
this
Kingdoms,
season 7.
then ruled by 7 squabbling families.
Yeah, it's a great table.
House Durrandon held the Stormlands from their seat at Storm's End, due south of Dragonstone. House Horror of the Iron Islands had also conquered and enslaved the Riverlands and ruled them from Harrenhal, a monstrous castle rising
Horror
on the
was that?
shore of the God's Eye.
I think
House
so, yeah.
Stark held the frozen wasteland of the north, the oldest, largest, and emptiest of the kingdoms. House Lannister held the Westerlands, the wealthiest kingdom, thanks to their gold mines. House Gardner held the Reach, the second wealthiest kingdom, thanks to their crops. House Arryn held the Vale,
Just Dawn
or
left, I
rather the
think.
Vale held them. The mountains were impassable except through the Bloody Gate, which had
Martell.
never been taken.
Yeah.
House Martell
Yeah.
held the deserts of Dawn, probably because no one else wanted
Really?
them.
That's quite warm.
Together,
Yeah.
the 7 kingdoms made Westeros, a realm that wasn't yet a realm, ruled by great families who didn't know what greatness was. Aegon would teach them.
Yeah. Pretty mad he took all of it away from them.
Though
Yeah.
House Durrandon titled themselves
There's a comment saying that
Storm Kings, they were
Westeros
little
is
more
like the
than
British
ghosts.
Isles, just turned
Their
upside down, and when you
Kingdom,
look at it, it
Stormlands
really
had been
does.
doddering to its end for the past few centuries, helped along by other houses, most of all by House Horror, who were nearly finished with a monstrous castle at Harrenhal. Too large and too costly a seat to rule only the Riverlands. King Argilac knew where the Ironborn would soon turn. You'd think a king who wanted to keep his crown would be wary of a man with fire-breathing monsters. But King Argilac Durrandon wasn't called the Arrogant for nothing. Determined to arrest his family's decline, he sent an envoy to Dragonstone to enlist Aegon Targaryen and his dragons against his enemies. In exchange, Argilac offered lands he didn't have and a wife Aegon didn't need. For as the Valerians did, Aegon had wed his elder sister, Visenya. Then, as the Valerians did,
Bit of incest
he
for
took
the
younger
Targaryens.
Rhaenys as well. 2 sisters.
There you go.
2
Both are
wives.
sisters.
Perhaps that's why he was so keen to get off Dragonstone. Aegon countered Argilac with courtesy. He sent his own envoy requesting that Princess Durrandon's hand be given instead to Aegon's closest friend and rumored half-brother, Orys Baratheon.
Orys, is that the one that
Argilac
Robert
answered
claimed
with a
loosely
box
to be
and a note.
related to?
I believe
These
so,
are the
yeah.
only hands your bastard shall have.
I was
of
waiting
me.
to
Inside
find the
box
connection.
were the hands of Aegon's envoy. How long had Aegon been waiting for such a pretext? As his army prepared to sail, ravens flew to every great lord of the 7 kingdoms. All bore the same message. From this day forth, there would be but one king in Westeros. Those who bent the knee to Aegon of House Targaryen would keep their lands and titles. Those who took up arms against him would be thrown down, humbled, and destroyed. Poor old Argilac. He couldn't even match Aegon in arrogance. Aegon landed at the mouth of the Blackwater River and raised a primitive Aegon fort in the disputed land between Harren's and Argilac's kingdom, so that neither could decide whose problem he was. Adopting the customs of the 7 kingdoms, Aegon unfurled his own banner with a red 3-headed dragon breathing fire upon a black field. Visenya crowned him with a ruby-studded circlet of Valyrian steel, while Rhaenys hailed him as the first High King the continent had seen since the Dawn Age. As his lords and the gathered locals cheered him, Aegon named his loyal friend to a small council, led by Orys Baratheon, whom he called my strong right hand. The title stuck, and a bastard became
so
the
Orys
first hand
Baratheon
of the
makes
king.
sense.
Yeah.
But for now, Aegon's kingdom contained only a rocky island and a handful of fields. The other kings had larger armies, ships, castles, and thousands.
Just where King's
of years
Landing
of
came
rule.
from.
But Aegon had
Maybe.
dragons.
I was going to say, yeah, they didn't have
He had
dragons,
chosen
did
for
they?
the words of his house, fire and blood. Before he was done, the rivers, fields, and skies would turn red.
Yeah, it's only when he said he was in between the two.
Yeah.
House Hoare, Ironborn Kings of the Riverlands.
Harren of House Hoare inherited a kingdom that stretched from
You're
the
on this
Iron
side.
Islands to the Triton. Too great
Your
a
boy.
kingdom to rule from a castle as shitty as Pike. For 40 years, his Ironborn plundered the Riverlands for stone, timber, and slaves to build a seat worthy of him. Legend has it that masons laid the final stone in Harrenhal on the very day that Aegon landed in Westeros. Could have been a divine omen.
Of course, the dragons destroyed
Could have
Harrenhal,
been the
didn't they?
masons
Yes.
wanted to fuck off before the dragons got
It's a
there.
fortress against anything
They
but
weren't
a
the
dragon.
only ones. At Aegon's approach, Harren's river lords revolted, led by House Tully. I thought Harren noticed. Harrenhal could repel an army of 1,000,000 men. No ladder could summit its walls, and no ram could shatter them. The castle was as impregnable as an old mate's cunt. Harren shut his gates around himself, his sons, and his Ironborn, and waited for Aegon's army to drain back into the muck. When Aegon finally saw the monstrous castle, he asked for parley. Harren granted it. Valyria had been the greatest empire the world had ever seen. Harren wanted to piss on its ashes.
Yield now, and you may remain as Lord of the Iron Islands. Yield now, and your sons will live to rule after you. You see my army outside your walls. You see my dragons.
What is outside my walls is of no concern. Those walls are strong and thick.
Don't
Dragons
know about that.
fly.
But stone doesn't burn.
When the sun sets, your line shall end.
Harren spat and returned to his castle. Once inside, he promised lands, riches, and Tully's daughters to whoever could bring down Aegon or his dragon. As the sun sank below the horizon, all of Harren's men patrolled the battlements, hearing wings in every gust of wind. But the moon rose and sank, and no dragon appeared.
While the Ironborn were ringing the battlements, Aegon drove his dragon Balerion higher and higher in the night sky, so that even the great castle of Harrenhal looked like an anthill below them. Then they plunged straight into the castle, well inside the guarded walls. The 5 towers of Harrenhal reached towards Aegon like a hand. Balerion opened his mouth and bathed all the fingers in flame.
Harren was right. Stone doesn't burn, but men do, even when they're Ironborn.
Yeah.
The dragon blasted my ancestors into ash that choked the survivors.
Do you think Harrenhal could play a part in Season 8?
Harren's soldiers left
Bearing in
for
mind
the battlements and
the
died.
dragons.
They huddled against the
Yeah,
walls
maybe.
and died. They fled across the yard.
We haven't seen it in ages, have we?
It's quite run down, isn't it?
His
Yeah.
sons took shelter inside the castle. The stone
Maybe a base for somebody.
But as Balerion blasted it with fire, it glowed white hot. The world's greatest castle became the world's greatest oven, baking the last
World's
of
greatest
House
oven.
horror within it.
Outside the castle walls, the towers of Harrenhal glowed red against the night and began to twist and melt like 5 huge candles, with liquid stone trickling down their sides like wax. The next morning, Aegon forged a new Riverlands. He named the rebel Edmund Tully as his Lord Paramount of the Trident, and had the other river lords swear him fealty as their new liege. For centuries, House Hoare had terrorized the Riverlands. Under House Tully, the Riverlands would at last return to peace and prosperity. After the castle cooled enough to allow men inside, Aegon ventured into the ruin he'd made of Harrenhal. He saw the ashen bodies, the scorched stone, and the mangled and melted swords of his former enemies. To his men's confusion, he ordered these useless swords collected and sent to his Aegon fort.
The Iron Throne.
Yes.
House Durrandon.
Durrandon.
While Aegon marched on Harrenhal after his coronation, Orys Baratheon had taken most of his forces and his queen Rhaenys with her dragon south to deal with the excuse for the invasion. Argilac the Arrogant, king of the Stormlands. Argilac had his seat at Storm's End, a castle considered the most impregnable in Westeros after Harrenhal. Argilac may have been arrogant, but he wasn't stupid or a coward. His lords advised him to shut his gates and wait out the siege. But he'd heard what had happened at Harrenhal and refused to die a suckling pig cooked in his own castle. He would meet victory or defeat the same way, with sword in hand. He called his banners and marched to meet Orys Baratheon in the field. Thanks to Rhaenyra's dragon, Meraxes, Orys knew Argilac was coming, how many men he had, and how fast he marched. So Orys simply seized the high ground and dug in on the hills to wait for Argilac. As the two armies approached, the wind rose to meet them and the rain poured from the sky, a gale which would give the battle its name, the Last Storm.
The Last Storm.
That's
King
a cool name for a
Argilac's
battle.
lords
It
urged
is.
him to wait for the weather to die down. But a Storm King saw that the rain was blowing into the faces of the Baratheon men on their hills. And Argilac outnumbered the Baratheon host 2-1, with 4 times as many knights and heavy horse. Argilac attacked. 3 times Argilac led his knights against the Baratheon line, but the hills were steep and the rain had beat the earth to mud. The war horses foundered.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and
Grip's
slipped.
going to be a
The
nightmare.
chargers collapsed.
Yeah, it
The
would
battle
be.
seemed lost, until Argilac ordered his spearmen up the hill. Blinded by the rain, the Baratheons didn't see them until it was too late. One hill fell, then another, and another, until only one remained in the Baratheon center. If Argilac could break through there, he could split the invading army and flank both halves. Argilac and his men charged, and the Baratheon line broke, revealing Queen Rhaenys and Meraxes. Argilac's vanguard burst into flame and his men panicked. The victory charge fell into chaos, and Argilac himself was
Really is a
thrown
cheat
from his
code.
horse.
Really
But
is.
he
Like, what do you
didn't
do?
yield. When
They were doing
Orys
so well.
Baratheon arrived, he found the old king holding off 6 men, another 6 dead at his feet. Orys dismounted to meet the king on equal footing and offered Argilac one final chance to yield. Argilac cursed him instead. As the storm raged around them, the grizzled old warrior and the bearded upstart fought for life and kingdom. In the end, Argilac got his wish. He died, sword in hand. As word of Argilac's death spread, his lords and knights threw down their swords and fled. Orys and his vanguard rode to Storm's End to claim Argilac's castle for Aegon, only to find the gates barred and the walls manned. Argilac's daughter had assumed his crown, and the new Storm Queen was as fond of yielding as her father. She declared that Orys would win only bones, blood,
Fight
and
to the
ashes
death.
here. But her men were weaker than her, and that night Orys found Argilac's daughter delivered, gagged, chained, and naked to his camp. Argilac had refused to give Orys her hand. Now Orys could have any part of her he wished. But Orys unchained the girl, wrapped his cloak around her, and poured her a glass of wine. He told her he would take the arms, banner, and words of House Durrandon to honor her father's courage in the last storm. Conveniently, Orys had none of his own to discard first. The crowned stag became the sigil of House Baratheon, and Storm's End their seat. Argilac's daughter would even remain in her home, though as a lady instead of a princess. The Stormlands were now Aegon's, and as tribute, Aegon demanded the swords of the men Orys had defeated.
Collecting more swords.
Just, yeah, we know
Orys
exactly
didn't
where
know.
they went.
Yeah.
Love that nobody knew, though, what they were doing.
No.
House Lannister, Kings of the Rock, and House Gardener, Kings of the Reach.
Aegon now ruled 2 of the 7 kingdoms, but he would no longer be able to take the rest piecemeal. for the first time in thousands of years, the kings put aside their squabbles and joined forces against a common enemy. My ancestor, King Lauren of House Lannister, was head of the wealthiest family in the Seven Kingdoms. When King Lauren joined his forces to Mern of House Gardner, King of the Reach, they had the mightiest army in history, a so-called Iron Fist, to break the would-be conqueror. But while an iron fist can smash a man's face in battle, you'd look silly hunting birds or beasts with it.
Yeah, you would.
And Aegon had a creature
Yeah,
that was
I mean, we know how this ends. It doesn't end well.
The kings
No.
had never even seen a dragon, let alone fought one. They had fought each other for thousands of years, and victory
The
always
only
went
house
to
that
the
didn't
larger army.
lose to
Sure,
Aegon was
4-5
Martell,
times that of
wasn't it?
Aegon's could
I think
manage
so, yeah.
one dragon. But Aegon arrived with 3. Still, the Lannisters and Gardeners hoped for victory. The battlefield they chose was a wide plain with firm ground and clear skies, perfect for archers and mounted cavalry. But neither of the kings spared a thought for why the ground was firm. There had been no rain for a fortnight, which meant all the wheat and grass on it were bone dry.
Burn.
Oh, burn, yeah,
Perfect
fire.
Yeah.
for dragons. At first, the kings looked like they would emerge victorious. When the horn blew for battle, their armies swept around Aegon's flanks, and their iron fist of mounted knights smashed through his center before the dragons could even enter the fray.
There it
Then,
is.
Aegon and his sisters took flight and unleashed their dragons not on the soldiers, but on the
Yeah,
dry fields
Makes sense.
all around.
Just lock
The
them in.
iron fist unclenched and became a hand outstretched for mercy. As Aegon promised,
It would literally spread like wildfire, wouldn't it?
more than 4,000 men died in the fires, another 1,000 escaping them. Tens of thousands returned home as monsters, burned and scarred beyond recognition. House Gardner never returned at all. The Field of Fire, as the singers call it, claimed the last of the Gardner line, and House Tyrell rose in their stead as Lords of the Reach and Wardens of the South. As for my illustrious ancestor, when King Lauren saw the battle was lost, he rode through a wall of flame and smoke to safety, or at least to a heroic capture a day later, where he
Yeah,
laid
bent
his
the knee.
sword before Aegon and knelt.
We know the Stark did as well.
Aegon
Was it
took his
Torrhen
word,
Stark?
spared him,
I think
and
so, yeah.
confirmed House
trying to
Lannister
think
as
of who it
Lords of
was.
Casterly Rock and Wardens of the West. Why wouldn't he? A Lannister always pays his debts, and now we owed our lives to the crown. That was worth centuries of subservience at least. Besides, Aegon had a fetish for collecting swords, not heads. He added Lawrence to the pile his men had retrieved from the Field of Fire and
Just
sent
the
them
swords
back
of all
to
the men
Aegon.
he's defeated.
Yeah,
It's a constant reminder of
here
what
we go.
he's, what he's
House
achieved.
Stark, Kings of the Winter by Sansa. So yeah, this is where Torrhen bends the knee. That's
Yeah.
because that's 4 now
With
that
most
have
of
now
the south in
bent to
Aegon's
him.
hands,
Yeah.
the best chance to throw back the conqueror now lay with the north, if we cared enough to try. Unlike our southern rivals, the Stark Kings of Winter didn't forge the north into one kingdom for glory or gold. There is little of either here, but to survive. Alone in Westeros, the north remembered when worse than dragons lay waste to armies. Thousands of years ago, the sun set on the realms of men and the long night began. A new race emerged from the ice and snow.
Yeah,
the
we are
White
going to get
Walkers.
some of
They
this.
demanded no crown, offered no terms, spared no life, and the dead marched with them. With humanity facing extinction, a Stark sought out the children of the forest, the most ancient beings in Westeros, and convinced them to ally with the men they'd once fought. Together, the two races pushed the Walkers back into the land of always winter and sealed it off from the Seven Kingdoms with the Wall. 300 miles of ice, stone, and earth, rising nearly 700 feet tall. To guard it, they established the Night's Watch, a brotherhood sworn to defend the living from the dead, whose vows erase both titles and crimes.
That
After
wall's
the
never
long
coming
night,
down.
the North tried to forget it belonged to a continent. Perhaps through pride, perhaps
Stark
through
music.
sheer ignorance. You never can tell with the North. But as news of Aegon's dragons spread, Torrhen Stark, the King of Winter, knew he couldn't forget Westeros any longer, and summoned his lords to Winterfell. Many fools shrugged off the threat, while the rest placed wagers on how long the South would take to burn. Torrhen silenced them with a command to assemble their armies and descend from the north in force.
As the kings of the Rock and the Reach burned on the field of fire, the greatest northern force since the Long Night crossed the neck into the Riverlands. But when King Torrhen arrived at the Trident, he saw, on the opposing riverbank, the combined strength of all Aegon's conquered kingdoms. A force larger than Torrhen's own by half. And with
Yeah, I can
three
see why he
dragons.
bent the knee, to be fair.
That night, King
Yes.
Torrhen called a conference of all his lords and advisors. Some wanted to fight and trust northern valor to carry the day and burn on the Trident. The wisest of them wanted to withdraw to Moat Cailin, the fortress which had thrown back every southern invasion, and burn there. One suicidal lord even wanted to ambush Aegon's camp in the dark and kill the dragons as they slept, or at the very least, their riders. It's hard to tell what would have been his fate. Burning, beheading, dismemberment. Perhaps
I suppose if he was willing to sacrifice himself.
My ancestor listened to their counsel, and in the morning crossed the Trident under a flag of parley. Then King Torrhen of House Stark laid his ancient crown at Aegon's feet and was named Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North.
And the king who knelt.
He had no choice, and thanks to him, our soldiers returned to their homes whole and unharmed. The swords that Aegon took from them were not twisted, burnt, or mangled.
Essentially what Jon is, isn't he? The king who knelt. King
He
of
just
the
said
North.
yet, so they obviously burnt them down.
Yeah.
House Arryn, Kings of the Vale. So yeah, this is the last house thing, so we know they didn't get...
The Vale of Arryn.
Yeah, the swords were melted with dragonfire, weren't they? And
Yeah.
forged.
Old and proud, House Arryn did what they always did in times of strife. They shut the bloody gate, sealing off the Vale. Then the Queen Regent Shara of House Arryn retreated with her son, the boy King Ronald, into the Eyrie, their family's impregnable fortress. From the top of their mountain they could look down on Westeros far below, its problems hidden beneath the clouds. But one day, Queen Shara entered the outer courtyard to find her young son sitting on the knee of Visenya Targaryen and ogling her dragon Vhagar beside her. Just as he'd asked for another cake at dinner, little King Ronald asked his mother if he could go flying on the nice lady's dragon. Visenya smiled at Shara. So, Shara imagined, did Vhagar. Remembering her manners, Shara asked if she could have Visenya brought some wine or food. She must be tired after such a long flight. But Visenya demurred. Bored with his mother's pleasantries, Ronald demanded an answer. Poor boy. He didn't even understand the question. Shara hesitated for a moment, then asked Visenya, as a mother, if it was safe for the boy. Visenya assured her it was. What choice did Shara have? Whilst her son circled the castle, she collected his little ringlet, her own regent's coronet, and the ancient falcon crown of mountain and vale which the Arryns had worn for thousands of years. Ronald had taken to the sky as a king, but he landed as a lordling. Perhaps he considered his ancient rights a fair trade for a few minutes of flight, as a little boy would. More likely, he didn't even notice the 3 crowns at Visenya's feet, or recognize the swords of his garrison beside them.
That's how they took the Vale then.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Aegon, first of his name.
The heads of Westeros had bowed to Aegon, but its heart still beat free. Old Town, the center of the faith of the Seven. There dwelt the High Septon, the father of the faithful, who commanded the obedience of all Westeros, save the savages of the north and their old gods. When Aegon had landed in Westeros, the High Septon had locked himself in the Starry Sept and fasted for 7 days and 7 nights, one for each of his gods.
Can't fast for 7 hours. 7
All he
days.
received for his trouble was the divine wisdom that if Old Town took up arms against the dragon, the city would burn.
Seems to be a
faithful
familiar
and
threat.
faithless alike.
Yeah.
After the submission of House Stark, Aegon marched towards Old Town, steeling himself for another battle. But he found the gates open, with the High Septon welcoming him. The pious fool even had the arrogance to grant what Aegon had already won, and anointed the last Valyrian as Aegon of House Targaryen, first of his name, King of the Andals and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm. As if titles meant anything to a man before whom time itself now bowed. The Maesters would hence divide all history into before and after conquest.
Ah.
Most expected Aegon to stay and make
Almost like the Old
Town his
Testament and the
seat.
New Testament, if you like. They
But
pick
soon
that
after
period
his
of time and then
coronation,
split.
Aegon returned to the mouth of the Blackwater River, where he had first set foot on Westeros.
I've seen people
A small
discussing
town
after
had since
conquest
sprouted
and before
around
conquest.
his primitive fort. To honour their new master, the locals dubbed
It
it
is.
King's
I
Landing.
thought it was.
Though
Yeah, it
looked
makes
more
sense.
fit
Where
for
the-
a
it's where the
hedge
king
knight,
landed
with
when he came
wooden
across.
palisades, muddy streets, and piles of mangled swords carted in from every
Mad
corner
to see how
of the
that's what it looked
conquest.
like.
But when Aegon made it his court, wood became stone, black mud was buried beneath a red keep, and the collected swords of Aegon's foes were blasted by dragonfire and became a seat fit for the conqueror and the greatest dynasty this world has ever known.
I love how
House
into it
Targaryen.
Viserys is getting.
Yeah.
My family.
My throne.
Not should have been. Yeah, I was waiting for something like that. Yeah, it's quite a flex to know that your throne was forged with
But
the swords
while
of people
Aegon
you just
titled
like
himself
absolutely
Lord of the
destroyed.
Seven Kingdoms, in reality he held only 6. The 7th, Dawn, had never knelt. Visenya had flown into the Vale and returned with its crown. Mimicking her sister, Rhaenys had flown over the enemy force holding the passes into Dawn and landed in the castle of its ruling lady, Princess Meria of House Martell. Meria was 80 years old, fat, bald, and blind. Behind her back, many sniggered at her as the yellow toad of Dawn. The beautiful Rhaenys probably thought as much when they met. She demanded Princess Meria kneel to her brother Aegon, though she allowed that on account of Meria's age and health a simple vow of submission would do. But the princess told the queen that the Targaryens weren't wanted in Dawn, and no Martell would ever bow, bend, or break, no matter how badly they burned.
Unbowed,
Rhaenys could
unbent,
have mounted her
unbroken. That's
dragon
that's
then
the house
and
name, isn't
roasted
it?
Meria
House words.
in the castle as her brother had done at Harrenhal. But whatever she saw in Meria's eyes scared her right back to King's Landing, with a dragon's tail between its legs. After Aegon's coronation, Rhaenys returned to Dawn with Aegon and Visenya, and their dragons. But no armies met them in the field, and no lords defied them in their castles. As the dragons approached, Dawn simply emptied. House Martell had learned from Harrenhal and the Field of Fire. The dragons were unbeatable in battle, but wars were more than battles. Unopposed, Aegon claimed Dawn for his own, but as soon as he returned to King's Landing, his castellans were hurled off towers, and his royal garrison vanished in the desert, never to be seen again. Except perhaps when the winds change and the sands cough up old bones and armor. Rhaenys returned on Meraxes, intent on revenging herself against Meria Martell, but Dawn was no longer empty. The Dornish kept Meria's promise and fought even while burning under dragon flame. And they won. One day, a bolt pierced the eye of Meraxes and knocked the dragon out of the sky. House Martell remained unbroken. Unlike the unfortunate Rhaenys, in their wrath, Aegon and Visenya set flame to every castle and city but Sunspear, trying to turn the people against House Martell. But the Dornish stayed loyal, and when Aegon returned to King's Landing, he found assassins waiting for him in the streets of his own capital. If not for Visenya, the conqueror would not have enjoyed his conquest for very long. From then on, the king and his family would be guarded by the 7 greatest knights in the realm, the King's Guard. When Meria died in her sleep, her weak and tired son sued for peace. But old Meria had exhausted Aegon as well, and he granted the request. The Targaryens still wanted Dawn, and eventually they would have it, but not at the point of a sword. They would buy it the same way great lords buy anything, with a daughter.
Wow. I think that's the end. The last dragons. That's where a chunk of the spoilers lie, apparently. So
yes,
but no, yeah, interesting.
It's packed, isn't it? It's absolutely packed of information.
So much information. It's all great to hear, but it's so hard to take it all in.
It's interesting that the 7th season lore is the one that's probably been the most focused on Aegon's conquest.
Yeah,
because that's definitely the most detail it's ever gone into about Aegon's conquest in one video. I know, is that because we now know that Jon's real name is Aegon Targaryen?
Could be. It could also be that this is we've seen the Daenerys sort of growing in power as this show's gone on, but now is where she's probably the most powerful, and she's got the biggest army. She's got basically just recruited most of Westeros, and I don't know, maybe it's time to go into more detail about them now, just because she is at her most powerful, I would say. Certainly in her best position she's been in, I feel.
Yes. No, I would agree. No, she really has. So the video started off with Jorah and the Golden Company. So it's where he went when he first left Westeros.
We were never told that, were we?
I don't believe so, no.
And they mentioned hedge
He may have
knights as
mentioned cell swording, but I don't believe... It may well have come up. It could have been such a throwaway line.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind we didn't know who the Golden Company were. So
we were told 3 different sellsword, and one of them was Golden Sons, and the Hedge Knights were another one, which we heard again in this one. The other one might have been the Golden Company.
It's Second Sons, wasn't it?
Second Sons, yeah.
The Hedge
Knights.
Hedge
they
Knights,
called, yeah.
And yeah, the Golden Company. So yeah, it could have come up in a previous video, but I didn't know about Jorah actually being part of them. So they formed because of House Blackfire, who were, or the leader of them was a bastard Targaryen.
Yes.
Who, on his deathbed, had just knighted effectively all of them to make them true, but they all just started fighting amongst one another.
Basically what Roose did to Ramsay made him
that's it.
Yeah, not a bastard anymore.
Yeah. And did it to all of his bastards. Yeah, so one of those, House Blackfire,
upset a lot of people.
Then left, went to Essos where they formed the Golden Company.
Called himself Bittersteel.
Yeah, and that was it. Yeah, he did call himself Bittersteel, and somebody tried to basically con them. So they bought them and then didn't pay them. Yeah. So they took that over, and now they never break a contract.
No.
And they always fight in their favour, which that is interesting.
I suppose you don't need to break a contract if the contract is heavily in your favour.
That's what Jorah said, basically.
Yeah,
he said there's some questions about the type of things they take on. So what I'm wondering with that is, are they going to freak at the sight of the dragons?
I can only think they've been spun a lie here.
Yeah, about how they are, this war is going to be easy to win, and they're going to turn up and be like, what? Yeah. Are they potentially going to flee?
They're 20,000 strong. Add that to the men that Cersei's already got. They may have the manpower, but do they know about the dragons?
Yeah, it seems like a key detail to leave out.
And the 100,000 dead.
See, when Qyburn left, they definitely won't know about that, because when he left for Essos, I don't believe we'd had the scene where they went to King's Landing. He was already back at that point. Yeah. So they're definitely not going to know about the dead.
They won't have all the information, definitely not. No.
Given what they've told us about the Golden Company and the fact that they wanted these lands before, maybe imagine if the Golden Company takes out Cersei.
Or what?
The people you hire take you out because you're the easier of what they've been brought over here to fight.
Especially if she's deceived them as well and got them over there under false pretense.
That's what I was starting to think, because it was just that always in their favour comment that just kind of stuck in my mind there. And could they potentially... No, because Harrenhal is an absolute ruin. It's the fact they kept bringing up Harrenhal in this, and I was trying to think whether or not there could be a way that Harrenhal comes into this, because... If it is such a fortress, could that be somewhere that you could go to kind of get away from the dead, if need be? Because let's not forget, season 7 ended. They've melted the wall. They're coming into the south, if you like. Now they're over the wall, and based on that, you've got to start looking at where people can go. And this is a really left field and nothing to do with the video, but they just mentioned someone in there that sounded like Edmure Tully, and it got me thinking about Edmure Tully. Could the Tullys come into this? Because if I remember correctly, the Tully's fortress, they got a big moat around it, and they can't swim.
You pull up the drawbridge. The drawbridge. Thank you. Pull that up, and it's completely surrounded by water. So
it's like a moat around it, and I don't know whether that would be frozen over, but could the
one
Tullys...
side's a complete lake, though, isn't it? It's like it's around the front. But I mean, they're just gonna. I mean, they may get to a point where the dead pile up so much that maybe they can just walk straight in. But yeah, like you say, like Euron said about the Iron Islands, can they swim? He said, so no. Riverrun could be a good fortress.
Because I was thinking of the Iron Islands before, but what I hadn't thought about is that where they are now south of the wall, they're going to be heading for Winterfell's first up. And no disrespect to Winterfell, but that's going to fall pretty quickly. Like it's not exactly a fortress like King's Landing, you know. No. We've seen it. It seems like if the dead are heading towards that, especially they've got giants. They've got other animals. They've got dragon. They're going to get through very quickly. So they're going to have to flee, potentially.
Yeah, they've got walls, but they're not like impenetrable walls. No. They're not like high walls. They could probably clamber over those. I was just trying to plot in my mind the route they would take because they came in near Eastwatch, didn't they?
Yep.
And Last Hearth is over that way, isn't it? And then, because Winterfell was more like...
I thought Last Hearth was the other side. More the other side.
Oh, I'm thinking in my mind it's...
Could be, though. Could be Last Half, to be fair.
East. I was just trying to plot in my mind where they would go. But, yeah, certainly we're going to get that probably Battle of Winterfell.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to flee. Cause
I don't know. You can't defend that.
No, I don't think Winterfell is really built for that. And I was just thinking, there was the whole Iron Islands possibility for a retreat because they can't swim. And the fact that now that Euron apparently has gone to go and get the Golden Company, it would imply that the Iron Islands are actually abandoned. So, all women and children are there and not fighters. Yeah. So, it could. But I just thought about Tullys when I heard... it obviously wasn't Ebony or Tully because this was in the past, but it just could be a possibility.
Definitely could be. Harrenhal could, I mean, like you say, it's ash at the moment, but it could be a base. But I don't know. We don't really know what condition it's in because we've not seen it in quite a while. But the fact that Riverrun is surrounded by water, I think I'd rather be there.
Yes, I just can't remember how big the water was and whether or not it would be susceptible to icing over because where it is a contained body of water in part, would it be enough to ice it over or will it be okay? Because we know that it joins up to the river because Brienne came out from underneath the castle and we saw her and Pod going off down the river. So hopefully that means that it can't fully freeze over because it's going to be connected to such a big body of water.
They can make it up the way that Brienne came down to get into the boat. Get through the gate and up, get it from the inside.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
What else do we have in here? Oh, they mentioned the Warlocks briefly. Yeah, I think we probably just need to let the Warlocks go at this point. Yeah. I mean, I've only brought them up once, and that was just because my mum's watching it now, and she mentioned about season 2, and I just remembered, like, oh yeah, they said they were going to get her. Then there was a hit attempt to kill Daenerys, which
that's where
Barristan Selmy came in and stopped it. Yeah. And then, it was like that Warlock got away and we never saw anything further whatsoever from the Warlocks.
No, I think I said at the time that it may be something that is quite fleshed out in the books, but they kind of had to cut some stuff for the show, but they just wanted to know that Warlocks are a thing and like they just touched on them. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff in the show that they just touched on because it is part of the lore, it is part of this world, but they just can't get the full story into the books. And I think the Warlocks is probably one of those.
They mentioned Maggie the Frog, which they then changed to Maisie the Frog, I believe. Yeah. But living in a hut in the middle of the, isolated, if you like. Yeah. What was the name of the person from the Cersei flashback?
Oh, that is...
Because they expected her to look like something, didn't they? And I can't remember what it was they were expecting her to look like. It wasn't a frog, was it?
No,
there's no way that would be the same person, right? It was more just the hut, and I just remember that she was in a hut. And
I can't quite remember.
Okay.
I mean, some connection, though, if you put that together.
I remember I don't know what it would mean.
I mean, it's just been pretty cool that you remembered that, to be fair.
The dragon pit. From King's Landing, so we got some. Well, it wasn't really at the time, was it? The dragon pit. It was built, and then they seemed to just we saw it kind of being built up from what it was. It was just where they settled, and then they built it up into this.
Dragons weren't allowed to free roam, because Daenerys said it was like a prison or something to them, and then we saw she had the lower jawbone of a really small dragon, and we know that they all ended up being the size of like domestic pets, and that contributed to it because they were just like they were trapped, and I feel like that feeds into. It wouldn't feed into because Tyrion would have known, but Tyrion let the dragons go, didn't he? because they were cooped up
That's
inside and they need to roam free. And I'm sure it's quite upsetting for her to see the skeletons of all the dragons that were there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like the downfall of her house, if you like.
The Rains of Castamere was an interesting one to get an inside to as well, because
that song is so haunting. Like I said,
it really is. Yeah,
it really gets you.
It's so recognisable. I mean, I think that the Lannister and Stark music is the most recognisable in the show, because it does make me think sometimes, like, do other houses have their own music too? And I just haven't clicked. But
a lot of people are pretty amazed that the speed at which we clicked on to that being played at the Red Wedding, like said almost no other reactor has noticed that.
Really?
So I was really. Yeah.
We finally had to get something out there where we stand alone. There had to be something.
Oh, man.
Maybe that was our moment.
Even thinking of that moment as the violins start playing, just instant chills. It was unbelievable scene.
I could get it in one note. I genuinely think I could get it in one note.
Yeah.
And the Stark music as well is also so recognisable. I believe that we heard that recently when Arya and Sansa were up on it was after Littlefinger's death.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we heard it then.
Yeah.
And it's so recognisable.
I feel like with the show, I'm so engrossed in what's going on. Sometimes some of the music does sort of fall by the wayside, and I feel like watching it again, not only will I pick up more stuff, I could really, really appreciate the music more as well, because it just adds to the scene so much.
You know how you're really good at picking up background scenes and things that are going on in the background that I would never notice. I think I'm quite good at picking up music, and I'm always listening to. Yeah, I look out for that.
Yeah, imagine that.
Where's the music?
Music is somewhere. But yeah, like I hear the music because it adds to the scene, but I don't really. I don't take it in as much as I should. Definitely not. But
so much to take in.
That's definitely a rewatch thing.
But yeah, the Rains of Castamere. So we've been told in the past. It may have been it was either by Tywin or Cersei who told us in the show, I believe, that it's there it might have been in one of his lore videos, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically there as a constant reminder of that house, the Rains, that you do not betray the Lannisters, which is kind of cool. Like, imagine having your victory song named after the family you defeated.
Yeah, it's like Aegon having his throne made of all the people that he defeated. It's a big flex and a big middle finger to them as well.
Yes.
So I mean, this is
interesting how Titus operated, though. He seemed like he may have got on well with Robert. Just seemed to just want to pass money around, lend it to people, have the Mickey taken, and then not pay it back. And really not like Tywin. And I can see why Tywin needed to step in there, because
he runs a much tighter ship.
Yes,
Tywin really does.
Because Titus was his father. Is that right? Jamie called Titus his grandfather. So it's interesting that that's the father that Tywin had, and maybe that is why Tywin was such a serious person. Yeah. And he really didn't like the softer side of things. So when Tyrion died, wanted to drink and party and get involved with the brothels, he wasn't open to that, because he just operated in a way that was serious, demanded respect, and he didn't want the family to be seen as it was when Titus was in charge, because it said that people were joking and laughing off about the Lannisters at war, and there was we've definitely heard where Tywin was before as well. It was the Ninepenny War.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell to me.
It's come up before that, because they say wars are named after what they are, and sounds like a very cheap war, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it does.
And I cannot remember where that came up before, but yeah, that's where he was. And we also got to some more bits about Orys as well. So he took over, but he freed the lady. It was the daughter of the guy he had fought one-on-one. Yes. And he potentially seemed like he was a bit of I say honourable man. I mean, it was heavily favoured towards him, but he did fight him one-on-one when he really didn't have to. He easily could have allowed a dragon or the army to take him out, but he didn't. One-on-one battle. And he allowed his daughter to serve on as a lady of Storm's End? The Stormlands.
Stormlands? Yeah. Yeah, like I say, he did the right thing, and it was nice to allow her to keep on, to stay on, yeah. It was a lady instead of a, what was it? Oh, I can't remember.
Princess.
Or
queen.
So she basically didn't have the title she would have had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been queen, actually, in Storm's End. Storm's Land. Storm's End.
Storm's Land.
It's Storm's End. It's Storm's End.
The Stormlands is like an area, isn't it?
So is it Stormlands?
I think so.
Why on earth has this just done me all of a sudden?
The thing is, the more you say it, the more you'll confuse yourself.
I know.
It's like when you say a word too much.
Now I'm thinking of Land's End. which is in Cornwall.
It is, that's right, yeah.
Oh,
right down.
Storms... What, Stormlands? Storm's End.
I think they're both places. But the Stormlands, I think, talks about one general area, whereas Storm's End is a place.
For God's
I think that's
sake.
right. I think that's right. It's like the Riverlands.
And Riverrun.
The Riverlands is an area, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a place. It's an area.
Like the Westerlands.
Yes,
The
exactly.
Riverlands. The
Stormlands.
Stormlands.
Yes.
The Winterlands.
How are you making stuff up?
Okay.
The land of always winter.
Yes. We heard a little bit about the Hands of the King, but it didn't really go on about it too much. But yeah, at least I've now finally realised.
I couldn't believe it. I don't want to go on about it because this goes on. It's just so much
I
information.
know the shape of it. I recognise the point that comes up and the circle, and that's how I've always known that that's the Hand of the King, and that's the brooch, if you like, that they wear.
It's
But
like
yeah,
pin, isn't it?
I've never noticed it's a hand in the middle with some weird pointy long finger there that's longer than the others.
And then the pin comes out the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. That's funny that you only just noticed that was hand. I thought it was just standard knowledge, but you know,
Probably is.
You can't catch everything, you know.
No, or anything. So, Viserys, a voice we have not heard for a very long time.
It makes sense that they called him back because this was heavily featuring the Targaryens.
I thought it would, to be
his
fair.
voice was perfect for this because you can tell the passion he has in his voice for his family. Shame he was a bit of a dick, and do you know what I mean? Like he said at the end, that my throne or my seat,
what should have been,
what should have been, yeah. And I was waiting for him to say something like that.
He went and drank gold, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. It was a bad way to go, wasn't it? It was a.
He brought it on himself.
Golden Crown, Steel
That's
Crown,
it.
something like that.
I'll give you your Golden Crown. I think
Golden
the
Crown.
episode may well have been called Golden Crown.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
But
If
no,
it wasn't,
that
it was now.
Yeah, we'll change it.
He spoke about the Doom and why they were at Dragonstone. So whether it be prophecy or because, like they say, he was likely on the run, sounds like it could have just been pure luck that they were there and didn't get destroyed along with the rest.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it's kind of mad.
Obviously, we knew that it fell to the Doom, and like you say, the Smoking Sea. But yeah, I thought I thought I recalled them saying they sort of not exiled as such, but they fled to Dragonstone. But it was in the images, it showed this huge mountain, and that's where I imagined the Dragon Glass to be. So that's why I thought it was Dragonstone. And yeah, they forged that table, which is an incredible table. I think this is such a random thing to think, but I was thinking when they were talking about that table, I was like, where is that table now? Like, where is that? Because you can't. It's not something you can.
Oh, you mean as in that for the set?
In real life, like where is
Gotcha.
that? Like what do you do with that table? I feel like if I was on the show, I'd want that set up in my house somewhere as like because I know it's a really random thing to think of, but that is like a massive, huge prop. And if it really was made out of like solid wood, I was just wondering where is that now? Did it just get thrown away or
maybe it's in a museum?
Yeah, that'd be. I mean, I say pretty cool. Pretty cool to me to find out.
It'd be quite funny now if in season 8 it gets absolutely destroyed.
Oh yeah,
and they built it to just get obliterated.
It's actually made of like balsa wood, like really thin wood, just to get blown up. But
yeah, I don't know what it was made of, to be fair, but it's definitely becoming a more and more recognisable thing, isn't it?
Yeah, the main image of that table that sticks out in my mind.
Stannis having sex on it.
No, I try and wipe that from my mind. It was Daenerys when she leant up against it and said, "Shall we begin?"
Yes.
And that was the end of the episode. Goosebumps just talking about that scene. It was incredible. So powerful for her to be back there. And
did you realise that Daenerys had already said those exact words?
Where did she say them?
She said it when she got back to Marine, I believe it was, to Tyrion and possibly as well. It might be. I was editing an episode and it had already come up and I was like, oh, no way.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't remember the exact moment, to be fair. If you're like a Game of Thrones super fan and you can just pick out that moment like that, let us know in the comments because, I think it was Marine. Horror, they kept on, they basically showed us how Harrenhal was destroyed. And it was the fact they were showing us how it was destroyed that led me to think, could this come back in season 8? Because we've had loose kind of scenes shot at Harrenhal. It featured quite a bit in season 2.
The torture scenes were there when they were being tortured for information, weren't they? And
loose in season 3.
Yeah.
And the torture scenes probably wouldn't work with the dead, would it? Like, just keep popping the bones out and then putting them back in. And
that's it.
Tell us where the Night King is.
Yeah, I don't think they know what. That was a great impression, by the way. You should have been an extra on there. Do you want makeup? No, just leave me as I am.
You prick.
That would have been just threatening to set them on fire. That'll get them to talk. That's the only thing that can actually kill
Holding
them.
a lighter.
Under their feet.
Tell us what you know. I still want to know if the White Walkers talk because we've not heard them.
No, we haven't.
I mentioned it, like, it must be so weird to like live in complete and utter silence.
They stare a lot, don't they? That's it.
That's
They
it.
just stare a lot.
Must be some conversation when they're off, when they start up. Because do you remember the baby was taken where they all are? Like, that just must be the quietest place in the world.
We were never given context on what happens with the babies when they're turned. Like whether there's like a little nursery where they grow up and become big White Walkers.
I could just imagine like this dead silent, I was about to say room, wherever they were. There's like 20 of like, or however many there are of them there, and then one of them just takes a step forward, and it just makes like this tiny little crunch, and all of a sudden, all their heads just go. Everyone's just looking at them like, "You taking the mick?
Keep it down."
Oh, I've got a headache now. House Durandon. Oh, House Durandon was the one that we already discussed about. They were the ones that were the previous holders of the place that shall not be named anymore, because I don't want to get back into that. And then I've just the only other thing I wrote down was about the Starks and the Children of the Forest. So they actually came together in the past, and how ironic that it was Bran, a Stark, who met the Children of the Forest this time around.
Learn a lot of context from them as well. It was quite good context.
It's worth saying as well with Edmure Tully that he is one of the few people that are out there that I feel just they have to have a part to play, because there aren't many of these characters now. Obviously, it's funny because the dead are going around collecting everybody.
Yeah.
And that's almost like what Daenerys and Jon have been doing. Is they've been going around collecting everyone, and that's why we're getting all of these duos kind of coming together. And when I think about people that either aren't at King's Landing or aren't at Winterfell now where everyone else is going, you kind of got Theon's off to hunt for his brother, you've got Edmure is about somewhere, and Mira went back to be with her family, and they're quite north. They could actually be first up.
They could be,
That's all I can actually think of in terms of characters who are not part of the main plot. They're just these random little side characters that Game of Thrones doesn't seem to just let people go.
No.
Once you've been shown on screen, that's it. You're coming back. I mean, Jaqen's another one, but I do think that we might have seen the last of him.
Yeah, same. Only because it seems like this final season is going to be heavily concentrated in King's Landing and Winterfell, and I feel like I don't think we go across the sea again. I don't think we go east. I think this is going to be it now.
Yeah.
Anyone that's not in that sort of general area, we may not see them again.
Agreed.
But Edmure would be one that I would maybe want to see again.
Yeah. No. Oh, I feel like he has to come back.
Yeah.
Last we knew he was in a cell at the Twins.
Yes.
Which might still be being held by the Lannisters, because we don't know what if Jaime could free him on the way? See, the way they're doing time jumps, I just expect season 8 to start and Jaime's in Winterfell having a cup of tea.
Yeah, or that's one of those scenes again where it's like, open the gate.
Oh, and it just opens in time.
Opens perfect timing, yeah.
If anyone does a movie just based on satire around any sort of medieval times, they need to have a scene where open the gate, and the guy's like asleep, and like all the horses just ride straight into the gate.
Pile into the gate. So funny.
But it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. It's information overload, but it's going to sit there, sink, and eventually I'll know if it's Storm's Land or Storm's End, or if it's both. But yeah, thank you so much for being with us on this one. We hope you enjoyed that one as much as we did. If you were wondering where the Season 7 awards are, they're going to go in the intro to Season 8, Episode 1.
Yes.
Please give the video a like if you didn't do so already. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. We always love to hear from you. Just please, no spoilers as always. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you back here for the next one.